Hello, Chef. This is Chef's PSA Podcast. I'm your host, André Natera. On today's episode, we have Chef Bill Roll. He's currently the Assistant Professor of Culinary Arts and Hospitality at Brookdale Community College, and he also runs his own catering company. He was an executive chef for over 19 years in hotels and clubs. And in this episode, it's a fun one. We talk about culinary school. Do you need to go to culinary school? What it's like being a culinary instructor, what his thoughts are on AI, and some of the realities of working in a professional kitchen. I think you'll enjoy this one. Stay tuned. Chef, it's good to see you.
Good to see you, Tim.
So, first time in Austin?
Absolutely, first time in Austin.
So, tell me about dinner last night.
Dinner was awesome. Ate at Emmer and Rye.
Yeah.
Sat at the chef's counter.
Yeah.
Cool vibe there. Food was delicious. Sat down. I went solo. I'm in Austin by myself.
I'm going to take you to dinner tonight.
Oh, yeah?
So, tonight we're going to go eat at Junior's place. We're going to go to Juniper.
Okay, good.
But anyway, I didn't mean to interrupt. Back to Emmer.
Yeah.
They treat you well?
It was fantastic. Great service.
Yeah.
I love the idea of the open kitchen. Interactive with, as interactive as they want to be,
right,
with staff and stuff like that. So I got the grill cook's name. His name was Robbie. He was awesome. It was only me at the chef counter for the first hour, and we were just, shooting the shit back and forth. It was really good. Had an oyster first course.
Yeah.
Fantastic. He talked about local Texas oysters and all that stuff. Nice and briny. They were delicious.
This Robbie guy, by the way,
yeah,
might be someone that's like 6 degrees of separation. So I was consulting at a restaurant, and I want to say the sous chef at the restaurant was consulting. That was named Robbie.
Oh, yeah.
He left to go to Emmer and Rye.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so
He's been there a year and a half.
So it might be the same guy.
He was a solid guy.
Yeah, it might be the same guy. So shout out to Robbie.
Yeah.
I heard he makes an excellent beef tartare.
Oh, yeah, beef tartare.
Yeah, that was the place.
There you go.
So funny story, the place where I was consulting, when I was doing the menu, we did a beef tartare.
Yep.
And, I don't remember what it was on, like egg yolk fudge, blah, blah, blah. And one of the cooks that was there, I said, what do you think? He's like, it's pretty good. It's almost as good as Robbie's.
Robbie's known for it.
So I remember Robbie over that. So shout out to Robbie, who makes an excellent beef tartare.
It was good.
Yeah.
I had that. What else did I have for a second course pasta dish?
Yeah.
The pasta program was awesome there.
Yeah, they do an amazing job.
Yeah, it was really good. Everything super well seasoned. Just to watch the flow of the kitchen, which I think a lot of people don't get to see in a restaurant without the closed kitchen.
Yeah.
It's great to watch. Like, there's four cooks in the kitchen. They were flowing back and forth. You have the chef de cuisine, I believe, the chef de cuisine. She's at the pass calling tickets. It was a great vibe. Great first restaurant. Looking forward to tonight too.
For people that are listening, you teach in a culinary school.
Yeah.
Do you talk to the students, to the up and coming culinarians, about when you're in a show kitchen, you're on stage?
Absolutely, yeah.
Because that's very important now that a lot of restaurants are opening with show kitchens, and I think people forget that everyone's watching.
And we have several kitchens at school. It's a small culinary school in New Jersey. There's several kitchens in the school, and where the restaurant is called the windows, and there are windows where the guests can see into the kitchen. So the students that's scratching their head, hopefully not tasting the sauce and all that stuff, is they're on stage.
Yeah.
And I'm constantly reminding them, hey guys, everyone's watching. Customers are there.
Everyone's watching. Like, are you touching? Are you wiping your hands on your apron?
Right.
Like, are you wearing gloves? Or are you not wearing? Like, what is the standard? Right.
Yeah. We set the lights, everything.
I was in a restaurant. So I ate in one restaurant. I won't say who, but it was like a really big name chef.
Yep.
And then I went to another restaurant of another big name chef. And both of them were open kitchens. And one of the big name chefs, the food was beautiful, but kind of fell flat. Like everything just was kind of missing something. Flavor-wise. It was just flat. The other big name chef was more simple, but everything just seasoned well, salt, acid, technique. It was great. One of the things that I noticed in both of those open kitchens, because being a chef, I'm always watching, right?
You can't shut it off.
You can't shut it off,
No.
right? So like, where are you going to sit? I want to sit with my back so I can watch the kitchen, right?
Yeah.
And the kitchen that was performing better seasoning-wise and flavor-wise, I noticed that nothing would go to the pass without the cook tasting it and then the chef tasting it before they plated it. And the restaurant that was missing, you saw no tasting.
Nobody was tasting.
Nobody's tasting.
Yeah, that's unbelievable, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
My first job at a culinary school was in an open kitchen. And, you get out of culinary school, you did fine when you were there. You did everything everybody asked you to do. And you come into the real world and you think, like, what's this going to be like? I had an opportunity to work at a restaurant in Durham, North Carolina for a husband and wife team. Both won beer awards. And it was amazing. But like you thought, you might have learned the basics of cooking, but you didn't learn how to taste in culinary school. Or you think you did.
Right.
But you're only, 50% of the way there.
So when you're teaching students, how do you teach them? Because obviously technique's important.
Yeah.
And especially right then and there, everything's new, everything's exciting when you're starting at zero.
Yes.
Right. You've never even made a roux before. It's like, oh my God, I would have never thought butter and flour, right?
Right.
So everything's new and fascinating. But then how do you also teach them to taste properly? Like, is that incorporated in the curriculum?
I make everybody taste. Like, if students aren't going through 50 spoons a day, we have a problem.
Yeah.
Each student.
But how do you teach them to taste? Like, what's the process?
Well, like, even something as simple as making whipped potatoes.
Yeah.
We'll go through the whole process of making them. Okay. We're going to pass them through a Tammy. Now we're going to taste. And we may taste them 5 times, 6 times with the addition of salt, butter, cold butter, diced up, hot milk, cream. Explain the difference. Why I would use milk, why I would use cream. Because not every restaurant's going to use heavy cream. Because it's $4 a quart and milk's $4 a gallon type of thing. So we'll go through the entire process of tasting, and I literally taste right across the table. From you and me are tasting spoons. Okay, taste once. What do you think? And they're usually like, oh, it's pretty good.
Yeah.
Okay, now I'm going to adjust the seasoning. You're going to taste with me. And it's that back and forth. It may take the students 3 times. It may take them 5 times. Their idea of a pinch and your and I idea of a pinch may be completely different.
Sure. So it's funny when especially with new cooks, like when you tell them season something, it's like it's
Like my mom.
Yeah. Like, is that enough?
Yeah.
Do you have a salt shaker?
Yeah.
Right.
And, you could tell, like, a family member, like, go put salt in the pasta water.
Yeah.
And they'll go over and they'll pinch it. And I did it. And you're like, oh, that's not what I'm talking about.
Right.
And, like, when I tell them, like, taste the water.
Yeah.
And, like, new students look at me like, are you crazy? Like, taste the water. Yes, taste the water.
Yeah. And they're like, why do I need to taste the water?
Right.
Because it's part of the process.
Yeah. You're going to understand when you taste the final product.
Yeah. Right.
So, and then that aha moment that you get, which is probably the best thing about being a teacher. When you get that aha moment from the student that it clicks.
Yeah. So what made you want to get into teaching?
To get into teaching, I worked in industry for close to 20 years.
Yeah.
Fine dining, private country club, and hotel. The last job where I was at in a hotel, I hired students from the local culinary school for the last 13 years. I had no interest in teaching. My wife is an elementary school teacher. Yes, when you're working in a hotel or a restaurant or a country club, you are teaching your staff over and over and over again. Yeah. But it wasn't something that I was necessarily looking for, or I didn't think I wasn't actively searching for a position.
Yeah.
Even though I had hired students, I had someone from the school reach out to me and said, hey, students have had great success at your restaurant. You ever think about teaching? And I was like, I'm not really sure.
Yeah.
And then hung up the phone. The next day, telephone call came across again. Can you at least meet us at the school? I had never gone down to the school. Went down to the school and didn't know, but it was a job interview. So I showed up. Lady met me at the front desk. Come down to the school. I walked into a room like this. 5 people sitting at the desk start peppering you with questions. I thought I was just going to look to see if the stoves were clean and what the regions look like.
Yeah.
It's not what it turned out to be. Sat down, hit me with questions. The lady, as I was walking down the hallway going into the classroom, was the nicest lady in the world to me. I'm thinking, wow, I'm a complete stranger. She's so nice. We go through the entire process. It's like 45 minutes, an hour interview. We walk out of the school and she says, Bill, you don't remember me, do you? And I said, no, I don't remember. She goes, I was a banquet server for you 15 years ago. Now she was part of the
program. Do you start going through your head like, what did I say to you?
It's funny because I actually said to her, I am a nice guy. I actually said to her, was I nice to you? And she goes, it wouldn't have lasted an hour. So, I wasn't actively searching. You hit mid-40s. The back, the feet, everything starts hurting. And you're thinking, like, maybe I'll look into it.
So for someone that might be interested in considering a career as a culinary instructor, I want you to give, if you can, without getting in trouble at work, give us a really honest take on what are the pros and what are the cons of being an instructor.
I'll tell you about my first day.
Yeah.
I came in, I worked, your favorite and my favorite shift was brunch.
Oh.
So I came out of a hotel just like you did.
Yeah.
We did brunch every single week, 300 people. My idea of brunch and your idea of brunch are very, very, very similar to that. So they're like, hey, and we had a very good reputation for our brunch. It was one of the best in New Jersey for a long, long time. So they said, hey.
Just because we hate it doesn't mean we have to make it bad.
Oh, no,
Right.
no.
I still want to make it good. I just don't like doing it.
Bring the hot shot in, whatever. We'll throw him into brunch because all the senior guys, of course, did not want to do it.
Right.
So I was like, I know where I'm going. I'm going to go teach brunch class first. So I went in and did that. I go in, I lecture for 45 minutes, hour about what we're going to do. It's basically a game plan, what we're going to do, because the door's open. The door's open, and we're going to start feeding the public. Day one, I was like, oh, my God. I think I'm more stressed than they were.
Yeah.
I come in, we feed 30 people. I have 15 students in the class. We fed 30 people.
Yeah.
I had another senior instructor come up to me and said everything was fantastic. It's the best brunch we've ever had. But I want to tell you about culinary school. They're actually supposed to do the cooking, not you.
Oh.
And it was so hard for me to shut it off. It was really hard to shut it off and hands off.
We're like, move out of the way. X and everyone down. Let me jump.
I literally went down the whole line to put out food, and I was like, what am I? And I didn't realize it.
Yeah.
Because it was just ingrained in what we do.
Right.
Patience, they're learning.
Yeah.
In industry, my job was to prevent mistakes.
Yeah.
Anything that goes through the door of that restaurant, I was the funnel going through the door. I was responsible for everything. Even on my day off, I believe that a good leader takes responsibility for everything.
Sure.
So it was hard to take a step back, to let the students make mistakes. Not that I encourage mistakes, but it's okay. But I want you to know why you made the mistake and how we're going to fix it.
So when someone's thinking about maybe, because a lot of chefs get to this point, and you see a lot of chefs, I'm going to maybe have a controversial opinion here.
You guys talk about burnout, are you?
No, I'm not going to talk about burnout, but I have a controversial opinion about culinary school and instructors. So I could say this. So no offense to anyone that is in your group.
Yeah.
And I apologize to my friends that are culinary school instructors that may be listening, but I sometimes have a problem when you're a culinary school instructor, but you've never done it.
Yep.
Where you've done it. And a lot of the chefs that I learned from when I was in culinary school, they'd done it. They closed their restaurant. They were in the twilight years of their career, and they wanted to give back. Where a lot of people, I also, and my culinary school had this. There was someone that graduated, and then next thing you know, they were teaching.
Yeah.
And sometimes I have a problem with that because there's no real world experience.
Yeah.
And you're teaching someone that's paying, I don't know how much they're paying for culinary school, but you're teaching someone that you only really have a year under your belt more than they do. And in the real world, that's nothing. That's nothing. Nothing. So sometimes I have a hard time with that. But anyway, that's a rant.
And I'm surprised with how many students that graduate that immediately want to go into teaching. I understand why they want to go into teaching.
Yeah, why? I don't.
Nights, weekends, holidays.
Yeah, okay.
I worked 23 Thanksgivings in a row.
Yeah, sure.
When I tell my students that I did that, I'm not doing it as a brag. I'm being honest. I did 23 Thanksgivings in a row and 20 Christmases.
Yeah.
And they look at you like, are you crazy? Why did you do that? And I don't want to say I was brainwashed, but I was 100% committed.
Yeah.
Into, there's not another place where I wanted to be than it was in the restaurant.
Well, one of the things that, we're from the same generation, we knew what we were signing up for.
Yeah.
It wasn't that we were going to get upset about working Thanksgiving or Christmas. We knew that this was the business.
Yeah.
We didn't go into the business with the idea that it's all unicorns and rainbows. We knew what we were signing up for. You spend a couple of weeks in a kitchen back then, you knew exactly what it was that you were into.
I feel that more students need to work in industry before entering into culinary school.
So that's a very good question. For someone that is maybe thinking about going to culinary school, what are some things that, before you go, here's some things that maybe you should check off some of these things off the list before you sign up?
Yeah, number one, have you worked in a restaurant?
Right.
Have you worked in a restaurant or a bake shop?
Yeah.
Or a bakery or something food related where you have to feel the grind. And yes, pressure's good. Pressure's going to make you better.
Yeah.
Do you know what it feels like to work nights? You know, do you know what it feels like to empty your fryer at 11:30 at night?
Yeah.
You know, like I get on the ground and do it at school because they've never done it before.
Right.
But the next time they're doing it, I'm watching.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
But like, I want my students to know, like, I'm not going to ask you to do anything that I won't do.
Right.
And trust me, I don't feel like climbing on the ground, you know, getting chicken bones out of the drain. But I will, because there's a standard to what, you know, I will accept and what I want them to go into industry and what their standards are too.
What else do you think is really important for a student before they're going into culinary school? Besides a little bit of work experience.
Work experience, have to know the commitment level that it's going to take to be successful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And when people are going to school right now, like, what is, you have your, you know, you're in it right now with a bunch of new students. Like, what is it that they want to do when they graduate? Like, when I was in culinary school, everyone wanted to be in a country club or hotel. They wanted to have CMC, CEC. They wanted to have an American Culinary Federation, you know, American flag stripes on their chef coat. Like, that's what was hot back then for everyone that was coming out of my culinary school. Everyone today, that's not it.
Yeah. So I think the students, they have more options than you and I did.
Yeah.
Like when I got out of culinary school, I'm not saying that where I went wanted you to do a certain thing, but I believe they did. Like, they pushed like upscale fine dining, New York Times 3-star, 4-star,
Right.
Los Angeles, San Francisco, Chicago, and New York.
And if you're going to be in a hotel, you need to be at the Four Seasons, at the Waldorf, you need to be at the Plaza.
Right. Like I got out of school and moved to North Carolina, worked for 2 James Beard winners.
Are you going to go work at the Greenbrier for your internship?
Right. That's where they sent everybody. And it's like when I came back to New Jersey, and New Jersey's food is decent. We're close to New York. We're close to Philly. Mm-hmm. There's a decent amount of money in the area. So people know food. You know, they know food. People looked at me like I was a hillbilly coming back from North Carolina.
Really?
And I was like, the food down there in a college town,
Yeah.
you know, Duke was there, University of North Carolina was there, 2 big hospitals, a lot of money, and an amazing food scene.
Yeah.
You know, just sort of like what Austin has here, you know, and the restaurants around there were so much better than the local area where I was from. And I was like, you have no idea. I'm going to come back and I'm going to smoke these people.
Yeah.
You know, that's what you sort of think a little bit.
Yeah.
You know, like I think that kids today, when they get out of school, they want to be private chefs.
Yeah.
They want to teach. They want to have a flexible schedule.
Yeah.
You know, I had a flexible schedule. I was off on Tuesdays.
Yeah. So you get weekends off, you get holidays off.
Yeah. Or the option.
Yeah, or the option.
Where I didn't feel like I had an option, nor did I want an option. Like I had no problem working, you know, 6 days a week for 12 years.
Yeah.
Where people look at you like, what did you do? Why did you do that? You know,
Yeah.
So.
And you're impacting people's lives. So one of the questions that always comes up, it comes up to me a lot. Do I need to go to culinary school?
Yeah.
Can you answer that?
Yeah.
I'm just, I know I can answer. I don't know.
Yeah. I can answer.
Yeah.
Do you need to go to culinary school? No, you don't need to go to culinary school. You and I have both worked with people that are in culinary school that, you know, where I graduated with, there's kids that 18 months later weren't in the restaurant business anymore. You know, maybe it wasn't right for them.
Yeah.
You know, and we've also worked with people that have no culinary experience that have been in it for 20 years that are amazing at what they do. I think culinary school offers different options than immediately going into a restaurant as far as like pace, more exposure to different chefs. Like you may be a student of mine and you have me for 3 weeks. Well, 3 weeks later, you're going into another class and you're going to get another chef's perspective. And 3 weeks later, you're going to rotate into another class. You're going to get another chef's perspective. Has its benefits of listening to other chefs. So I can make a point for both.
Yeah.
Why you should, why you shouldn't. It's obviously very expensive.
Yeah.
Yeah. Certain places are very expensive. There are more affordable options out there.
Yeah. And I'll tell you this, for people that are listening, usually, and there's an exception to the rule here, and I'll touch on that, but usually as a chef, I never looked at like, I'm not going to hire someone because they did or didn't have culinary school.
I was the worst.
Yeah.
Could care less.
It was rare.
I could care less where you went to school.
Yeah.
I don't care if you grew up in this town.
Yeah.
You know, I don't care what big name school you went to or not.
Yeah. is like, can you cook? Where have you worked before? Like if someone, I'm just making this up, if someone had worked at Noma and French Laundry and didn't go to culinary school, and then someone else went to culinary school, Noma French Laundry did a job. Yeah. It's like, I want to know where you've been. And unfortunately, unfortunately, a lot of people think that they have to do this, but they don't. A lot of it has to do with what you have within. Now, with that being said, I need to say that I went to culinary school more than anyone I know personally.
Yeah.
So, I went to culinary school, the original, the first time. I've been to all CIAs for continuing education. So Hyde Park, St. Helena, San Antonio. I've also taken Ruby's online culinary program, and anyway, I'm sure I'm missing one or two in there, but I'm overeducated.
Yeah.
Sometimes, I've done like American Culinary Federation, continuing education. Like, I was an education junkie, and I wanted to, because this as a chef, like, you want every little micro
details matter.
Like, oh, I don't know how to do that, and there's a class that I can learn how to do. The perfect brine. Okay, I'm going to take that class. So I was always looking for a small competitive edge.
Right, like I'll be watching videos on brine and be like, what's the brine ratio on that?
Yeah.
Is 2%, 5%? How long? Why 4 hours, not 24? Like, I love those details.
Yes.
I think that all chefs that are passionate about food never stop learning.
Right.
And are humble enough to, always look for more information.
Right. And education. So anyway, what I was going to say about education is, like, I would never tell anyone that they have to go to school to be a chef. But when someone says, "Did you go?" Yeah, I went a lot. Yep. But I'm also an education junkie.
Your answer. I went a lot.
Yeah, I went a lot. I probably went more than I needed to, but I felt like that is I also read a ton of books.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, I geek out on things that, I want to know everything. When I was a kid, I almost, but I tried to, we used to have like an encyclopedia set.
Oh yeah, we had it in my house.
And I wanted to read them all because I wanted to learn everything, right? And that's just kind of how my brain works. I want to know everything, but not everyone's that way. Some people just want to grind. They want to work in the kitchen. They want to learn how to taste, like you were talking about. And maybe culinary school is not for them, but it doesn't mean that they won't be a good chef.
Oh, absolutely not.
Right.
I don't think that has any reflection on that.
Yeah.
And like what a young person's, goals and ambitions are at 18.
Yeah.
Maybe a lot different at 48.
So for students that you have coming out of culinary school, what are some of the things that you're coaching them on when they go out into the real world, and you're cutting the umbilical cord and saying, good luck?
Yeah. And, a lot of those students come back for lunch immediately, like next semester, and be like, I wish I asked you this. I wish you asked that. It's a small school. There's about 100 kids that are in the program at a time. So I have the benefit of like forming real relationships with students. It wasn't like I just had them for 12 days. They moved on. And I didn't learn their name, and they didn't learn mine. It's nice because, I teach some of the beginning classes, and I say, good luck in the program. And I don't tell them that I'm going to have them 5 more times.
Yes.
And then I see them 3 weeks later, and they're like, oh, So the program is small enough where I get to learn your name.
Yeah.
I get to learn, and I come out and straight up ask them, like, what are your goals? Some of them have no idea. Some of them are very, focused. They'd be like, I want to go work in New York City for Danielle Below. Mm-hmm. Okay, good. Well, we have 2 more years here. I have to teach you differently to get you ready for a position like that than a student that may want to go to healthcare.
Right.
It's a different thing. And we get students from all over the gamut. Mm-hmm. We have students that want to go to Barcelona. I have a student that's been in Japan for 2 years now. And there's ones that just want to go work, at a local restaurant, or, with family. A family owns a pizzeria, and a student wants to, I have a student that wants to do more than just Southern Italian food at his father's pizzeria.
Do you ever tell them, like, hey, when you get out in the real world, don't say at school they said we're supposed to do it like this?
No, yeah, it's the worst, right?
Yeah.
And, I use your phrase, often that you talk about, like, how do we do it? And I even say it to the students. I'm like, don't go back there and say, that's what Bill told us to do. No, do not do that, especially if you're local, because a lot of those guys know me. Don't say that.
Yeah.
Don't say that. You do exactly what you say. Halfway through the program, they go on like an internship, externship type of thing. And I usually have them before they go off, in the last couple of days. And I'm like, listen, you're halfway through. Get used to starting. You're going to be at the bottom of the barrel. Be humble. Do what they tell you to do. Show up early. Stay late. All that stuff. Take notes. Do not say this is the way Chef Bill told me to do it. Don't do that. Yeah.
It's funny. Here's a story for you. When I was a young cook, right out of culinary school, and like I said, I'm a geek. I would read the glossary.
Yep.
Right. So I knew all the terms, and
You have a food lover's companion.
food lover's companion, right?
Yeah.
And so I knew everything, and or at least I thought I did. I was like that walking encyclopedia. And I remember the chef said something incorrect, and I corrected him in front of everybody. This is the executive chef of where I was working. I'm like an 18-year-old green culinary school graduate, and he said, I don't remember what it was.
Yeah.
But he said something. I said, it actually means this, chef. You know, I wanted to make sure I corrected him, like, use the wrong word. It's actually this word.
How'd that go?
So he's like, great, you're working the grill, right? I'd never worked the grill. Oh, like, he's like, where's that vocabulary right now? Like, I need the food, chef. Where's that vocabulary? It's not helping you, is it?
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
You talk about the grill and stuff like that. So I ran the hotel for 13 years. And then I went into teaching. Newsflash for anybody that's interested, it is a pay cut.
Yeah.
So I had to go get a summer job.
Yeah. Okay.
And I was like, what do I want to do for a summer job? I reached out to one of my buddies and I said, listen, do you have any positions that are open for the summer? He goes, yeah, I got a grill position.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, fine, I'll do it. Let's be realistic. I wasn't at the hotel cooking every single steak you weren't at the hotel.
No. You have a team.
A decent sized team and stuff like that. I was like, okay, I'll go do it. And we were sending 2 students that were there the entire summer too. So I had like 2 students that I would sort of like watch over, mentor a little bit, but they were going to be there as well. And I was like, when do you want me to start? And he's like, oh, come in Friday, Memorial Day weekend. Well, at the Jersey Shore, Memorial Day to Labor Day, you're doing 90% of your business.
Yeah.
You're going to get crushed. Come in that Friday. Okay, what time do you want me on Friday? Yeah, come in like 3 o'clock. I've never come into work at 3 o'clock ever in my life.
Yeah.
So I was like, I roll in at 3 o'clock and open up the drawers. I'm looking through all my prep to see what's there. And I got like the day grill guy. Don't worry, you're all set. Which I do not want to hear because they're like, oh, who's this guy coming? You know, who's this guy coming into work? Nobody knew who I was or anything like
Right.
that. Not that I'm anything special, but nobody knew. I was like, I come in.
They just know you're the new guy.
You're
the FNG.
And 100%, which is what I wanted to be too.
Right.
You know, so I show up, and we probably did 300 covers.
Yeah.
Right. The first 150 go out. I'm breathing a little bit. Right. I'm like, oh, look at this. You know, I'm okay. I did all right. Nobody was waiting for me. I'm looking over at the saute cook. You ready for the next pickup? Because I'm ready. You know, it felt good. It feels good to dance like that. You know, but we put out the first 150 covers. I look over at the pantry, and there's 2 guys in the pantry talking Spanish the whole night. And my kitchen Spanish is pretty good.
Yeah, okay.
So I'm just like listening. You know, I'm not a big talker, but I am a big listener. So I'm listening to everything they're saying, and halfway through, I'm looking for like a quart of water. You know, I was like, I need a quart of water. Go up to the 2 guys, and I'm like, hey, you know where I can find some water? And they're like, yeah, right over on this side. And they said, hey, you did pretty good with the first 150 covers. What do you do for a living? And I was like, oh, I'm a teacher. I didn't tell them culinary, you know, and I heard them talking shit the whole entire time. Yeah. And then they go, what kind of, I've never seen a teacher cook like that. What kind of teacher are you? I go, I'm a Spanish teacher. They were like, what? I was like, I'm just busting your chops, you know? And then we put out the next 150 covers and stuff like that. But it feels good to know that you can still do it.
Yeah.
Where there's not a lot of people that would be signing up for that, you know? And I said to, you know, my friend who's a chef, I was like, listen, treat me like a grill cook. Yeah, that's it. I don't want any special privileges. I won't respect myself if you give me any special privileges, you know. I want to show it with the team. I want to leave with the team. I want to drain the fryer. I want to scrub the line, you know, where I wasn't doing that on the nightly for a while.
Sure.
You know, outside dining, wheeling up speed racks, you know, 2-3 speed racks of mise en place a night and stuff like that. Bring them all down to the basement. It felt good. I quickly learned after that summer, I don't want to do this next summer.
Yeah, no, fair.
You know?
Yeah. No, I'm with you. Like I of all the things I want to do in life right now, working the line is probably like it's not on the top of my list.
Yeah.
I retired for a reason.
Yeah.
You know, I've been there, done that. I'm good. Like I don't need to prove to anyone that I could work the line because the version of me now is not as good as the 12-year-old version of me that worked the line, right? Like that guy would smoke me now.
Yeah.
Right? I got kitchen rest to an extent.
Yeah. And I think, you know, that's part of why I did it.
Yeah.
You know, super competitive against like even myself. You know, like you can't talk a good game and not back it up.
So recently I was consulting at this place, and kitchen staff was short.
Yeah.
And for whatever reason, and I had to work the line. And the guy that I was with is like, "Oh yeah, I get to work with Chef PSA, Chef André on the line." And I'm like, "Don't get so excited, man. Like, you're a better line cook than I am right now. You're in your career. Like, you're 21. You could move. Like, I could barely bend down to pick up the plates on the floor, or in the low boy, whatever." I was like, "Don't get too excited." But it's funny. It came back to me a little bit. It wasn't my best, but I also wasn't terrible. Like, I was like, okay, I could still do it if I have to.
You ever see the Bourdain Eric Repair one?
Yeah, that was great.
Right?
Yeah.
And then did they go into Bourdain's restaurant?
Yeah.
And like Anthony was like, I'm going to set up Chef Repair so he gets crushed.
Yes.
And it's a steakhouse, like a French brasserie steakhouse type of thing. And, he's the chef master, and he held his own. He did it the whole time.
And he talks about it a little bit more, like he goes into more detail in his book, Medium Raw.
Yeah.
Yeah. So he covers that whole episode of getting his ass kicked by Eric Repair, how he was setting him up and it completely backfired.
I love stories like that.
Yeah, it's great. Yeah, there's something about being a good line cook, and sometimes being a good cook doesn't mean necessarily being good on the line. Like a lot of people misconstrue that. Like some people are just creative, good cooks. They could sit in front of a cutting board. They could create dishes. They can knock out prep. They could make a 50-gallon soup that's delicious or sauce or whatever.
Right.
But they couldn't work the line.
Yeah,
It's a different skill.
Do you notice that a lot? Like when you were at the hotel, like I separated my staff. I had an a la carte staff and I had a banquet staff.
Yeah.
And if I took some of my banquet guys who were solid banquet cooks, like same thing, go make me 50 gallons of this, go, break down 4 cases of fillets, go do this, go do that. They would crush it.
Yeah.
Somebody called out on a la carte tonight. Is there any way I can get my a la carte stew to come on over and work saute? And I would be like, well, this is going to be brutal.
It's brutal. So the banquet cooks would come over to the a la carte side, and like everything is, soigné, dab the meat on the serviette, put it, microgreens, the ploosh of this, testing it with their cake tester.
Yeah.
And then the banquet guys are like, sheet tray, season it, flip it over on the grill. I'm like, no, we don't work like that. He's like, but I got 20 steaks.
Yeah.
I'm going to cook them all at once and just hold them. No, you don't do it that way. And then I would send sometimes like the a la carte cooks to go work in the banquet kitchen. Is like, I got to make 20 gallons. How do I do that?
Yeah.
Right? Like it's just.
And I was much more of, before I started there, I was much more of like the a la carte guy than the banquet guy.
Yeah.
And honestly, my banquet chef was an a la carte guy at Four Seasons for a long time. A really, really great chef. And then he was like, you know what? I've had enough of this. I want to go over and do banquets and stuff like that. And he went and did that for me for 5 years. And he was great because he was a solid banquet chef that brought that finesse from a la carte, where you don't see.
No, it's a unicorn, someone that could do both. But what I noticed in my career, everywhere that I was ever a chef, where there was a banquet and catering operation and an a la carte operation, and everywhere I've worked, I've been fortunate that they've been separate.
Yeah.
So we ran like a lot of places, like the same kitchen execute. I've never been in that environment where I would
now covers. We're going to put out a party.
Right. No, like I have a separate catering kitchen. We have a separate restaurants. And what I noticed is like the banquet guys and the a la carte guys, like they're not hanging out after work. Like they're different animals.
Oh, they're different animals. Yeah.
The banquet guys don't respect the a la carte guys because they're like, you guys couldn't do what we do. Yeah. And the a la carte guys are looking at them like, yeah, but that's not what we want to do. Like that, we don't like that food. It's a little rough. Yeah. Right. So there was always a little bit of beef, and I respected both of them because I knew it's like, I understand that both of you are playing in different sports.
Yeah.
Right. And you're trying to say like, hey, I'm a basketball player and I'm a football player and my sport's better. It's like, no, different sports.
Yeah.
They're different.
Yeah, they're completely different. To have that skill of both is like tremendous to have as a chef in a hotel. Like you need someone to be able to do both.
Yeah.
They do talk crap against each other because one thinks he's all finesse and the other one is all volume.
Right.
Neither one of them are right.
Yeah.
Because I want finesse and banquet, and I also need some volume. There's times where I need volume at a la carte.
Right.
Like you can't.
I need you to be able to think like a catering chef sometimes.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Like they're crashing for a catered party of 20. Like, how do I do this?
And the other guy's laughing.
Yeah. Like
we just put out 28 parties this week.
Right.
28 like 200 plus parties.
Yeah.
And we're doing doubles, and they roll in at 2:00. after mise en place is done for them.
So I did an episode, one of the earlier episodes I did on Chef's PSA was like the hardest job ever. For me, I think a banquet chef is probably the hardest job I could think of in terms of physical exhaustion.
Yeah.
And maybe even mental exhaustion, especially if you're in a big catering house and you got to be there for the VIP breakfast.
Yeah.
That goes out at 6 a.m.
Yep.
So that means you're there at 3 a.m. And then you got to be there to make sure the last plate goes out for dinner, and the dinner's running late and it's 9 p.m. and you're still there.
Yeah.
Right. And
Which happened all the time.
all the time.
That's the norm.
I don't think people realize like everyone talks about the industry is hard and like, oh, we're going to work a lot of hours. It's like, yeah, but there's certain segments that actually you could get a 40-hour-a-week job, you know, if you're working in healthcare, like you talked about, if you're working at, you know, maybe a corporate environment, like you're the chef over at Apple or something like that, maybe you're working 40 hours a week.
Yeah.
There's other places where maybe you're in a restaurant, you're working 50. You're working 6 10s.
Yep.
Maybe you're doing that. But when you're a banquet chef, like people don't realize, like if you're the executive banquet chef of a large op, you're there all the time.
Yeah.
All the time.
Yeah.
You're married to
I-
your job.
Him and I were married.
Yeah.
Yeah. Him and I were married. He's still my closest friend to this day. I've been through war with him.
Yeah.
I worked with him for 7 years. And when he did move on, he went up to Boston and moved on. The banquet suit took the position that worked with him for 5 years.
Right.
So it wasn't the same, but it was 95%. And that was still better than I could never bring anybody in from the outside for that position.
Yeah.
I wouldn't, because it wouldn't be fair to my team.
Mm-hmm.
You know, because there was a way that we did stuff. I'll tell you a quick story. Him and I didn't work together for 5 years.
Mm-hmm.
He left. I had a sous chef that passed away.
Yeah.
That I worked.
Sorry to hear that.
Got in a car accident, leaving work. Nothing stupid. It was on a Thursday night. We got out early. We're driving home. I left 5 minutes before him. He was like, come on. We actually had an early night.
Mm-hmm.
He would never leave before me. We got home. He got in a car accident. I called my banquet chef that was up in Boston and said, you're never going to believe what happened. You know, your banquet soup, you know, he passed, got in a car accident, stuff like that. And he was like, Bill, it's going to be really tough. It was in the middle of the summer. And, it was horrible. It was horrible. It was unexpected. And, I talked to him all the time because he was like a brother, you know, my old banquet chef. And I said, you know, they were going to bury the kid on a Monday, you know. The banquets don't stop because of it.
Right.
You know, which is unfortunate and stuff like that. I told my guy to take off for the day. I went in and put out parties in the morning and then had to go to the funeral home. I was speaking, you know, I gave a speech when I buried the kid. And when I went in that Monday morning to go put out the parties, I have a banquet server that was there all the time. He walks behind me and he's like, Bill, you're never going to believe it. The kitchen's already set up. I was like, I thought it was one of my banquet cooks that I told to take off. I was like, nope, I'm going to do it. I'm going to come in. I'm going to set it up. And then I'll be out of here by 12:30. Then I'll go over to the funeral. He says to me, oh, there's somebody in the kitchen that already set up the entire kitchen. I walk in, take off my jacket, put on my chef jacket, go into the office, and I see all the sauces already in a well, already hot. The veg is already counted out. Potatoes are already on. Everything is set. And he goes, I don't know why, but this guy's screaming over in the other banquet kitchen right now. I was like, great. I figured it was a banquet cook. I walk in. It was like, no, it was my buddy from Boston that was my banquet chef that I talked to at midnight. After I got off the phone with him, he got in the car, drove 5 hours from midnight till 5 in the morning, showed up at the hotel at 5 o'clock in the morning. We had not worked together in 5 years. And he set up the entire thing.
He's at the door to pick up.
Yep.
Yeah, that's
And it was funny because he was like, you still do stuff in the same way. I go, why would we change it?
yeah.
And the reason why we do it. And I didn't know he was coming down.
Yeah.
And he's like, I'm going to put out these 2 parties today. Now, he had already worked at another place for 5 years.
Yeah.
Hopped in the car, knew I was having a tough time the night before and drove down and helped me out.
That relationship that people could have, like 2 different chefs. Like I could pick up and work with many chefs, like that I haven't worked with in years. Like I knew, like if we were doing a catering, we could just jump in right now. Like we know how to both with each other.
Oh, yeah.
I want to ask a couple of other questions around culinary school. One of them, the fascinating subject for me is AI. I probably use AI a little too much sometimes because
You're good at it.
I'm good at it. I understand how to work with it. I understand how to leverage it. And I understand how to educate myself with it. And I'm wondering, because I know the capabilities with AI, and I could tell you that sometimes I have late night chats with my chat GPT. Like,
Yeah.
you could talk to it. And the other day I was having a very scary conversation with it. I was like, hey, where are we going with this? Like, what does next year look like in the next year? And it says, most likely we'll have AI agents, which for people that aren't familiar with that, it's like you could install AI agents to work in the background. You could give it tasks, and maybe it's clean up your email box and doing your taxes while you're surfing the internet, right? So it said most likely this year we'll have AI agents, 2025. And then eventually, the metaverse. So, you're in this digital world. Maybe you could have meetings with your AI agents. They could look like people, right?
Yeah.
And then maybe you could assign them personalities. So you could say your board of directors is, Augusta Scoffier and, whoever, right? You got all these great chef minds around you as your board of directors, and you could brainstorm concepts really quick. I said, and if you have AI agents, then you could scale. Those AI agents could also have AI agents. So you could have one AI agent that's your chief marketing officer, and it could have 100 AI agents as its employees working in the background for it. Mm-hmm. And I said, so with that being said, I said within a year, we could have every single person could have an infinite number of employees working for it. And it said, yeah. And I'm like, holy shit.
Did you hear the Rogan podcast this week?
No.
With Mark Zuckerberg from Facebook?
No, I need to listen to it.
Yeah, it was good. I actually listened to it on the plane coming down.
Okay.
It was good. And, Joe Rogan mentioned AI, and he's asking the man, or one of the men about it and stuff like that. He's like, and he's sort of talking about what you were saying, like one person can lead 5 other teams. And how do we scale it?
Right.
To, make everybody more efficient. Because Rogan's pushing back, be like, what if people are losing jobs? He's like, I don't really see it like that. I see it like it's going to assist all of us.
Yeah.
Now,
there's going to be some people that are first.
I did see that they laid off 3,600 people
today. Yeah. I read that today. Meta laid off, and I see it happening because with AI, it's going to displace a lot of the tech jobs first. Mm-hmm. A lot of the marketing. I mean, you can see what you can make with AI images and all that.
Yeah.
It's so far. Like, I posted today, so we're recording early. I don't know when people are going to listen to it, but today is January 15th. So I had an idea today. I was like, I want to make an R-rated movie about chefs set in the disco era of the 1970s New York, right? Scorsese style. Think Scorsese, think Carlito's Way.
Yep.
Of a toxic chef. And I'm like, cast Christian Bale as the head chef, make it a serious movie, R-rated, so it's like, Coca-Cola, the Coca-Cola days, right? Yep. And I'm like, that would be a great movie. And I'm like, you know what? I will be able to make that movie most likely by the end of the year.
Oh yeah,
with AI video, because I could make a short film now. I've just haven't released them, but I've been playing in the background making little short 5-minute video cartoons,
like little reels.
Yeah, longer though.
Yeah,
like longer. I could make like a 5-minute movie. Now that looks good, and I'm like, I haven't shown anyone because it's not just perfect,
right?
But that's today. In a year from now, I guarantee you, I'll be able to make a full-length feature film.
What now? Will it remember? Do you feel like it's remembering everything that you have said to it in the last 3 weeks, or you start with a clean slate every single time and then have to punch in the prompts that you want?
So both. It remembers random things. Like, I've realized it remembers more than I think it remembers. I'll bring up things with the new chatbot, and it'll be like, well, Chef's PSA would say this. Like, I haven't even mentioned Chef's PSA or anything yet. It will say to me, based on your business model. So it already knows what I'm thinking. I'm like, oh wow. So I haven't started explaining it. So it'll pull things in from other conversations.
I believe it, because social media is already doing that. I land in Austin and 5 restaurants show up on my Instagram,
right?
Which I hadn't seen in 3 weeks.
Well, what's crazy about AI is you could ask it. You could do this today. Like, anyone that uses ChatGPT and has been using it, it's better if you've been using it at length. Go ask it, based on all our conversations and everything that we've ever talked about, what do you think my IQ is? Guess. And it'll tell you based on all of that, this is what I think your IQ is.
You better not ask us that.
Well, what's funny is I asked it, and it gave me some bullshit answer like, well, IQ tests are not all accurate. You got to take. I said, no. What do you think it? Well, no. You have to tell me. What do you think? Well, you could be in this range. I said, well, no. Be very specific. What do you think it is?
So you're whittling it down.
Yes, like I'm pushing it.
Yeah.
What do you think it is? No, I want you to be it doesn't matter. You're not going to hurt my feelings. What do you think it is? Oh, I think you're this. And it's funny because I've taken IQ tests and it was within 1 point.
Wow.
It was within 1 point of what I actually have tested versus what it thought I was, which is extremely high for anyone listening. for anyone listening, you could say, just under genius, just right there on a bad day, right? I think the test is wrong.
I think they're down a point. Yeah. I've used AI with my students, and even this past semester and stuff like that, for projects, which it's not going away. So we're trying to integrate it in with the students to make it more efficient for them.
Yeah.
And yes, there are some mistakes. I can say, just like when you wrote out recipes, I could say, give me a lobster bisque recipe that yields 5 gallons, and make sure that the recipe is in the procedure that I want to do it, and come up with a grocery list for it.
Right.
There's a big difference between doing something like that and helping me, or show a student how to multiply that by 5.
Yeah.
And how many cups of soup if I'm doing a 6-ounce portion.
Yeah.
For a wedding.
Yeah.
Where students would struggle with that. Like they all hate culinary math.
Yeah.
I don't teach culinary math. But then they come into my class next and I'm like, well, do you love money? And they're like, yeah, I love money. I'm like, good. I knew you loved money. Newsflash. This is why you need to know this type of things. Because you can't just hold your breath, cross your fingers, and hope you have enough soup for your 200-person wedding. That doesn't happen a lot.
If you ruin someone's wedding,
yeah,
they'll never forgive you.
Like how many cases of filet do you need to buy for that? What's your yield percentage?
Yeah.
So I have used some of that with my culinary students to show them why it's important, how it's going to help them. So maybe if they're having struggles in certain classes, I'm not asking anybody to cheat.
Yeah.
But to use the tools that are there to help them. Like you and I, when was the last time you went into a library, opened up the Dewey Decimal System, and looked up something?
Right. I mean, it's funny. Most people don't even know what the Dewey Decimal System is, right?
Yeah. And then everybody Googles it.
Yeah.
This is just going to be the next thing.
I 100% agree with you. And I think those people that are on it now are way ahead of everyone else.
Yeah.
Because there's a learning curve. There's definitely a learning curve to know not only to learn how to communicate with AI, but to know how far you could push it. Right? Like, there's a certain way you could push it and say, hey, look, can you create an image? And you're going to get some shitty looking image.
Yes.
And then now it's like when I first started creating images, like on the comics, it's like the first ones were really rough. Like, oh, can you do Superman opening, crying in the walk-in or whatever, right? And now it's like, no, I want it in this style. I want it to look like a scene from a Stanley Kubrick movie set in the 1970s. Yes. Like, I'm very specific, and the images are, the more you know how to control it, the better the output.
And the more detail that you can give it.
Right.
Like I could say, show me a picture of a pan-seared black bass.
Right.
With whatever, polenta and roasted cherry tomatoes. And I could see it. I'm like, oh, that's horrible. Okay, now show it to me on a white plate. Only put on 5 cherry tomatoes. And instead of that polenta, give it to me in a polenta cake that's shaped like a circle.
For sure.
So you can see it. And then it slowly starts adjusting towards probably more your style.
Yeah.
And I could say like in the style of, French cuisine or something like that.
And sometimes I'll give it prompts like, give me a dish. When I first started experimenting with dishes. And what's funny is there's a couple of people that have started putting up as their food.
Yeah, you can
tell.
And
it's like, right? I know it, so I know it's fake.
Yeah.
But a lot of people are, oh, that looks so good. Well, how did you make that? Can I get the recipe?
Yeah.
And I'm like, well, this person's messing with you, right? But you could even tell it, like, give it to me in the style of Noma if Noma was set in the 1930s.
Really?
And it has to come up with something, right?
Yeah.
So it'll get super creative. And I think when people know how far you could push it, like I said, I mean, I'll have late night chats about are we in a simulation and the and the nature of reality? Like, it goes deep. It goes deep. So anyway, we got on a rant, but are your students embracing it now?
Yeah, they love it.
Yeah.
And I'm not telling any of my students to go give me a 5-page paper that you're using AI on mother sauces.
Yeah.
Because I can read the first page and know that
Right.
you did not write that.
Yeah.
But as a tool to use, I have no problem with it. As long as it helps you understand it better.
I want to ask you about private catering, because I know you do a lot of private catering. Is that for someone that was also interested in maybe jumping into the private catering space? What are some things that you think everyone should know before they jump into that game?
I think the most important thing that you need to know is your cooking skills have to be top notch. If you're going to go into somebody's house and cater a party, you have to be. You can't be worrying, am I going to hit the temp on the fish or the meat? But more importantly than your cooking skills, I think hospitality is super important too. They could have went out to a restaurant and had your food. Instead, they're basically inviting in, could be a stranger, into where they've only seen you through social media. It's the same trust that you need to have when you're walking into a client's house. They have to trust you. There's a lot of times where I want to do fancy food, right? But that's not what the client is looking for. You have to give them what.
Shout out Fancy Chef 2013. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah. I should have brought some champagne flutes,
Some strawberries with some ranch. Yeah.
Yeah, you have to give the customer what they want.
Yeah.
As when I show up to somebody's house, yes, I want to unload and get into the kitchen as fast as possible and turn on the stove.
Yeah.
But hospitality starts immediately when you show up to somebody's house.
So is there anything that was that is, I hate to say something so business wise obvious to people that do it, but like if you've never done it before, like make sure you do this. Like forget all the cooking stuff. Like if you're looking at this as a business, like what is it that you have to think about on the business side that isn't so obvious to the person that's starting it for the first time?
I think relationships.
Yeah.
Relationships. I think the first few parties that I had were from clients that constantly ate my food at the hotel, and I hadn't been there anymore. So being able to form those relationships is super important.
So for someone that has 0 clients and they say, hey, I want to start my private catering business, and they don't know anybody, or they're like, hey, my parents love my food. Right?
Yeah.
They say I make great enchiladas.
Mom and dad love it, right?
Yeah. So how do you start building your...
You have to start with building social media in today's world.
Do you think for someone right out of culinary school, or people that are in culinary school right now, are you starting to tell them now, like, start building your social profiles?
Yeah, I make them do it in class. Yeah. I said, you can have your personal account.
Yeah.
Which is fine. But how many people are hiring off a resume nowadays?
No.
Yeah, I used to have a stack of resumes too. And you can tell me that you love Mexican food.
Yeah.
But if we sit down and I start talking about Mexican food, or what Mexican restaurants have you eaten in, and have you been to Mexico, and what type of cuisine in Mexico do you like? If you can't answer any of those questions, how much do you really like it? Mm-hmm. You have to be obsessed with it. You need to start a social media. You have to go from there. Mm-hmm. I'm 48 years old. I post so much. It's ridiculous. I probably shouldn't be. But I really feel like it allows me, not that I'm looking just to get more and more and more clients, but it allows me to show people who I am. Because you feel like it is the start of building a relationship.
Yeah.
And you have to start with that.
And for people that are listening, like, if you don't have social media and you're a ghost, like, good luck.
Who are you?
Yeah, good luck. No one knows anything about you.
I think everyone's worried about, like, the perfect plate of food.
Yeah. No one cares. No one's going back to find your photo of, like, oh, the lighting could have been better. It's like, no, you have something.
Because I look back on 10 years ago when I was doing this, and I look back at some of the food and I go, what was I thinking?
Right.
Why do we all do that?
We all do. I've made some.
Why did I think that?
What's the worst thing you've ever made? Like, is there one that haunts you?
I don't know. There's probably a lot. There's definitely not one thing.
I once won a chili competition, a chili cook-off. I entered a competition. I was like 23 years old, and I entered the chili cook-off, and I scorched the chili. Scorched flavor. I scorched the chili, but I didn't know it.
Yeah.
And so
why you didn't taste it?
No, because I'm on a little click burner. Outside. It's rainy. I have my chili pot. I've scorched the bottom of the very thin aluminum pot.
Yeah.
Right. And it's like a 5.
Yeah, you got tons in there.
I got tons in there.
Everything's floating on the bottom.
It tasted good when I made it.
Yeah.
Right. But now that I've brought it and I've kept it in the pot on the click burner,
And everyone's like, wow, what's that taste? It's so good. It's so unique. I'm like, I don't know. I ended up winning the competition, by the way. And when I finally tasted it, I was like, oh, fuck, it's scorched.
Yeah.
It was scorched, and I still won.
Well, your palate's better than this.
You're right. Right. They're like, oh, it's very unique. I was like, oh, shit, it's scorched pot.
What did you roast? How deep did you roast those tomatoes?
That's funny.
I know.
For people that are listening, if you had a chef's PSA out there, like, what would it be?
The good or the bad?
Both. Yeah.
I'll tell you, I hate the people that fuck up the plastic wrap
It's the worst.
and leave it.
Yeah.
I hate that. There's the worst. What else? We could do an hour on what I don't like. I hate when one cook puts up their food 3 minutes before the next person.
Yeah.
Like, you guys are putting up apps. Can we we got to dance a little.
Yeah.
We got to come up together.
Yeah.
And like, this one thinks he's the stud because he put it up 5 minutes before.
My food's done.
Voila, look what I got. Oh, we're waiting for you. Now that's a perfect time for me to be like, yeah, redo it. Do it again. You know? Stuff like that's horrible. You know? Good things.
Yeah.
Be humble.
Yeah.
Be humble. Be able to take criticism. Know that everyone's learning, no matter who they are. Learn from your mistakes. It's okay to make a mistake. Learn from them. Push yourself. You know, being able to go outside the limits. If you don't think you're ready for the next position, you know, you're not sure if you want to go into the next restaurant, the fine dining restaurant, because you've only worked at a casual restaurant, and you don't think you may have the chops for it. Try.
Yeah.
Try. I think so many people are afraid to make an attempt to go do something.
If you had to list who the 4 chefs that you think should be on the Chef Mount Rushmore, who would they be?
I thought about this, and I don't want to say the same as everybody else, but it's kind of hard not to.
Yeah.
It's kind of hard not to. I got 2 that I haven't heard anybody not say anything of.
Yeah.
Jacques Pepin,
Yeah.
you know.
Legend.
Ferdinand Metz,
Agreed.
you know. Like, and I was thinking of those 2. I was like, hey, if I had to say my other 2, Thomas Keller and Danielle Boulou.
Yeah.
I don't know how you leave them off.
No, I mean, honestly, no one could argue with that list.
No.
Chef, where can people find you?
Probably on Instagram, at Chef Bill Roll.
Yeah. Well, Chef, we'll have to do it
I
again.
appreciate it.
Yeah.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, I hope you enjoyed the show. You know what to do. If you're watching on YouTube, hit the like and subscribe button. If you're listening on Spotify or Apple or anywhere else, make sure you leave 5 stars. Nothing less than 5 stars. Anything less than 5 stars is unacceptable. Go to chefspsa.com. You find the Chef's PSA store there. You get books, you get merchandise, and I appreciate you supporting the show. It's how I keep the show going. If you want early access to episodes and listen to them before anyone else, you can become a premium member on Spotify and also on Substack. You get your ear candy before anyone else gets their candy. Anyway, we'll see you next week. Hit the porno music.
No André in the kitchen, mixing, dropping chef knowledge, no fiction, stirring up the beats, heating up the session. Listen close, class is in session.